Here's the bottom line. It's the only bottom line in sports. It's a W or an L. The Eagles get the W 31-25 over the previously undefeated Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah, I know the second half wasn't much to speak of. Can they put two halves together in the same game? Remains to be seen. But they're 4-0. Barrett Brooks, your thoughts on this game, especially the first half?
I mean, I just love the first half. You did what we wanted to do. We ran whatever we wanted to run, and then all of a sudden we come out, and it's like they found some kryptonite and just, saw what was going on and just changed the whole game. What is going on? Why can't we get 2 quarters? I mean, no 4 full quarters instead of just 2 quarters.
Well, yeah. we did, except their last week and this week.
That's the
problem. Just didn't go on the same day.
Yeah, hey, half the game's good enough to win for this team. Jaws, when you look at it and you see what happened, we talked about it at halftime. It was the complete reverse of what we saw last week. Here comes A.J. Brown. I'm wondering what he's going to say after
Well,
this.
I mean, Jalen was obviously late in that game, forcing him. Balls there, rolling the coverage, and he's trying to stick throws into him. I mean, they're complaining not to get up throws. Jalen can't listen to that stuff. He's got to throw it to the open receiver, not to the guy that's complaining the most.
How about Dallas Goedert with those 2 touchdown receptions?
How about the design of those old tush push?
Yeah.
Throw that away. We don't need that tush push anymore. We line up in the tush push and square another way.
There's something to be said about a team that finds ways to win. But, man, they've got to figure out how to play 60 minutes or they're not going to be able to keep this up. We saw this in 2023. Remember, they just know how to win. They always make a play.
Yeah.
And it caught up with them at the end of the year, and it was ugly, and it ended in that same building. But, look, they have the talent to do it, and, it's frustrating because you see bits and pieces of a great football team on both sides of the ball, but they just can't sustain it. Look, that's a good team and a tough place to play. So you take the dub and get out of there and get home and get hydrated.
But here's the
thing. That's a scary way to play football.
Get hydrated. Jason, look at them. I mean, they are whipped. They got the W, but they are whipped. I mean, can you not say that the second half, the temperature did catch up with them and that Tampa Bay is used to playing in this stuff?
Well, I don't know if it has anything to do with the temperature. The defense was just on the field the entire time. So if you're looking at most of those players, the defense, the ones that were exhausted, especially in the second half. And the game changed when the offensive game plan changed. They were super aggressive. They were doing play call. And I said in my notes that their first 15 was outstanding. And then they went back to what we always do, which is just run the ball a couple times, then throw it on third down. And then you start to get stagnant, and there's no adjustments after that. And so I thought the Eagles took the wind out of their own sails when they began to just be vanilla and run the ball only on first and second down.
They punted 6 times in the second half and took that safety at the end. And they're trying to figure out how
it's one
they
of their best offensive plays.
Yeah.
Loss of 37 yards.
We didn't turn it over.
You're getting funny now, Rube.
Here's the thing. 33 yards of offense, last I checked, in the second half for the Eagles. 33 after 201 in the first half. And the other side of that coin is 275 yards by Tampa Bay after they had 99.
I think one of the problems that we're seeing is when you're up by 18 points in the third quarter, what do? You run the ball, and they can't do it right now for whatever reason. So last year when they had a big lead, they would just run it. They run it 20 times in the second half, and they would protect the lead. They would run the clock, and they'd win the game. They can't do that right now, so it really puts them in a tough spot.
It's like we have the route of choice per week. A couple weeks ago, it was all A.J. Brown slants. Today, it was all A.J. Brown hitch routes, stop routes. I don't know if there's any variety at all on the offense when it comes to getting multiple guys the ball. We saw a little bit of variety down on the goal line, and basically what they did was run Andy Reid's play calls. It was basically a Kelsey, like a Travis Kelsey quad screen to get a touchdown and then a shovel pass. So besides that, the offensive play calling is very, very vanilla. A.J. Brown hitch routes today rather than slants from a couple weeks ago.
Well, I wouldn't go for. I love to design the plays for off the score. Those are very creative by Kevin Patel. That's about all they did. You look at the second half. I don't think Jalen had a passing yard in the second half.
He did not. He had 130
at halftime.
Did not complete a pass.
Right, but he leads the team in rushing. So that's not what you want. You don't want your quarterback running around taking the hits, and of course you want to get your receivers involved in the game. That didn't happen in the second half. I thought the first half was exceptional football. The second half they flipped the switch the wrong way.
Yeah, he was 15 of 16 at halftime, and he's still 15 or 16. He was 0 for 8 passing in the second half.
But I say this, we're talking about the offensive side of the ball. Let's talk about the defensive side of the ball. We have yet to stop a running game of any team yet. These guys keep on coming in and running whatever they want to do with running the rock. I mean, we had guys, we just sent Bucky Irvin to the Pro Bowl. I mean, he was giving us everything we wanted, running in between the tackles. It wasn't like he was running to the outside. They were running inside power football against the strength of our defense. That's something that has to be rectified. Also, our tackling. We are tackling terrible also.
I thought they tackled great.
In the second half. I thought Vaughn had a good
second half.
First half they tackled great, and second half they didn't, which tells you they were gassed.
Exactly, exactly. So I think it did. I think, weather did have something to do with it. But, I mean, at least we're close. We're getting close. We're starting to get things going. We had a little innovation in the red zone, and then we get to the second half, we don't do anything. I mean, we just got to put this all together.
Yeah. I have official review presented by AAA. It's Jalen Hurts, first half versus second half, and the really is staggering, 15 to 16.
Unbelievable.
And you look at his passer rating, which is 104 plus, but it was 140 in the first half. Second half, 39.6. It's still over 100 for the game, which there's the rub right there, because the second half was rough.
He was better in the first half.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit, 15 to 16.
I thought he was phenomenal in the first half. I mean, everything he was doing was working. He was throwing to the right guys, reading coverage, beating the blitz. And then in the second half, Todd Bowles really came on heavy in the second half, bringing all kinds of pressure. The offensive line did not do a good job of picking it up.
No.
There was quicker pressure in Jalen's face. But I just don't like the fact that late in that game, he just kept looking for 11. And when you start forcing the ball, that's when mistakes begin to happen.
I have to say this about A.J. Brown. I have to say this about it, is that A.J. Brown is being played like a receiver that can't run anymore. The secondary is looking at A.J. Brown like a guy that is reluctant to go by them, and that's what's happening. They're sitting on routes. Yeah. So that's something that A.J. Brown has to look in the mirror and say, what am I doing in order to get this type of coverage? But they're playing him like his name is Jason Avant out there running go routes. You can't do that, right? So I think A.J. Brown has to do a little bit better when it comes to coming off the ball every single time. That third down late in the game, the last time they had the ball or, significant had the ball, it was an out route. First of all, he oversplit, meaning he split too wide, and it was an out route against zero coverage, and then he quit on the route. So you can't do those things, and that's something, if A.J. Brown wants the ball, you have to run the routes the right way and also come off the ball so guys don't sit.
But he still has it in him to do it the way he's always done.
I don't know that. I think that's what Jason's saying. Maybe he does that because the go routes, you got to go to get the box for the quarterback. In other words, when you get it out of your stance, you don't get to that sideline. You got to take it upfield so the quarterback can take you away from where that defender is. The balls he was throwing deep, he was right on the sideline. There was no window for Jalen Hurts to stick that ball into, no box to throw into, and the balls are out of bounds. There wasn't an area, some air under where he could throw the football.
Well, see, listen, I'm just saying how the defense is playing him.
Right.
Whether A.J. Brown can do it or not, the defense is saying that you can't run by me. And that's the way they're playing. They're playing him like that.
Also, look at the first half, second half. First half, the offensive line played magnificent.
Yep.
They blocked on the edges. They kept them out of there. Then the second half, I don't know. I mean, it seemed like, Jalen was holding the ball a little too long, or those guys wasn't blocking long enough.
Lane wasn't in there.
Yeah, Lane
Tyler
wasn't in there.
Steen left for a while. You had Matt Pryor in there.
So, it's an excuse. Yes, it's an excuse. We didn't block as well that second half. But, hey, we've got to get it together. You know what I'm saying? We cannot go into a game not being able to run the ball when that's our specialty.
Yeah.
We haven't been able to run the ball this entire year. And it's starting to be concerning now. I'm like, come on now. What's going on, Coach Stout? I mean, you need to get these guys in detention or something in Stoutland University. Make them come in later or something.
You know what? I thought A.J. Dillon came in, had 2 carries for like 14 yards, moved the sticks a little bit, and then didn't get another carry. I'd like to see a little variety. It's nothing against Saquon, but if you give Shipley, you give A.J. Dillon a couple carries.
Thunder and lightning or something.
Just give the defense a different look, a different guy to have to defend. Then come back with Saquon. Saquon had a 10-yard run there right at the very end, set up a 3rd and 3, and then they threw it and had to punt. It was a terrible, terrible sequence there. That's where I would have run Saquon. I'm thinking he's finally getting something going. He had a 10-yard run. It was his longest run, I think his second longest run of the year. 3rd and 3. You can't give it to Saquon? What are you paying him
At the
for?
same time, though, we talked about it pregame, and I believe
moving?
you pointed it out, Jason, that the offensive line, I mean, your personnel is really important. You lose Lane Johnson and you lose Tyler Steen, that's a significant thing.
Absolutely.
We saw what happened when Matt Pryor went in before they got Fred Johnson in there last week. It's a significant difference.
He can't play guard either, by the way.
Yeah.
They need to figure something out because every time he comes in the game, bad things happen.
You are not a Pryor fan.
Unfortunately, we're seeing it.
He's a better guard than tackle, but he's not a good guard.
Play inside, not outside.
Well, he didn't do too well inside. You're right. Point either,
This is one of those things where you start to question, right? And I'm not trying to dump on Patullo, right? I'm not trying to dump on him at all. But when you're in a situation where your offensive line is not getting the same movement, my receiver is not getting the same separation, and the offense is not looking well, and you have to make adjustments, do I depend on a first-year offensive coordinator? You need someone that's been through a lot of bouts, a lot of fights, so they can make adjustments on the fly. And this is the problem that we're having. It's a potential problem because I don't know if we have the answers in-house to be able to fix it.
Yeah. By the way, we are talking about a 4-0 football team.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Mike Schmidt, the great Mike Schmidt, who's calling right now the Phillies game on NBC Sports Philadelphia, once said, and you know this because he's good friends with you, Philadelphia is the only city where you can experience the thrill of victory and the agony of reading about it the next day. Except we're giving it right now. But the fact of the matter is that the score indicates that the Eagles won this game. They played a magnificent first half of football. I'm not addressing anybody in particular.
This is what we do.
We got to tell the truth. We're at this world. We have to tell the truth.
Right.
Truth is, in the first half, Jalen Hurts saw the blitz, beat the blitz, threw into the blitz, whatever it takes, and was able to move the ball and score. The second half, I don't know what happened. What's the difference between the first half and the second half? I mean, I can't wait to sit back and watch this film tonight. Well, I'm going to watch it tonight.
Well,
yes, I am.
I'll tell you one
I didn't say we're being negative about it or what have you, but the difference in the ball game is a block punt return. A block punt.
Yeah.
That's the difference in the game.
You said that was going to happen, by the way.
Yeah. You said a block punt.
No.
Maybe a couple of tip balls as well.
Yeah.
Look, they made enough plays at the end. You look at the fourth down. You look at Jihad Campbell's interception. You look at Parry Nickerson in his first game in 2 years, has not played in 2 years, making that tackle short of the sticks on the last play of the game and clinching the win. That's what this team has been doing, and that's why it's frustrating because they have so much talent.
Yeah.
And they should be blowing teams out.
Yes, they should. And that's the problem right there. They should be blowing teams out.
They're winning, and to be able to make mistakes and still come out with a win is really impressive.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You talk about the second half. The third quarter, they come out -3. Hurts is sacked -9. They get a plus 3, not enough, and they have to punt and a big return, and then they get a touchdown on the other side, so it's 24-13. That is immediately starting the second half. So that, I would think, makes a team sag just a little bit and the other team surge. Plus, they got a talking to in the locker room, Tampa Bay, and they came out like a house of fire.
Yeah.
Well, we saw what happened with the Rams last week. And, a good team doesn't let that happen to them. And the Eagles didn't let this thing go out of control.
Yeah. Also,
it was ugly and it was hard to watch, but ultimately they made enough plays to win. We got to remember that.
By the way, reminder, we got Nick Sirianni coming up, Jalen Hurts coming up. We've got Zach Bond coming up, all the principals in what is a 31-25 win. The score changed every moment, it seemed like. 31-25 win. The Eagles are 4-0, which is the bottom line. Awesome job at that. But, yeah, you're right. It was a war of attrition. You said it would be in the pregame program.
Absolutely.
And if you played in those conditions it ain't fun, is it?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. But they figured out a way to win. That's the bottom line. Bottom line is they figured out a way to win.
Yeah, but I don't want to go through this, what we saw 2 years ago where bottom line was, we're winning. And then all of a sudden the bottom fell out. For like 7 games, we looked like we the worst team in the world. Eight.
Right.
That's right. It was 8 games. So I don't want to go through that again. I think this team's mature enough, and they'll go back to that and see this is what we can't do. I'm looking to see what, Nick Sirianni's going to go in and tell his guys, hey, it was a tough battle. So you give the same speech you gave last week?
I guarantee Matt Patricia's not going to be running the defense this year. So we don't have to worry about that. I think he's coaching our house.
Let's go down to Tampa Bay right now and check in with Ashlyn Sullivan and Dave Zangaro. Impressions?
Right, guys, it goes along with a theme we've been seeing all season long, and really going back to last season, you just find a way to win the game. This was a comfortable game. We were sitting pretty in the press box at halftime, had our game notes written, and then it got really interesting in the second half. But the defense showed up when they needed to win this game.
Yeah, I get it. If you're a fan, you're sitting at home saying, well, that was way more anxious than I wanted to be at the end of that game, and I understand. It got too close at the end, but you're right. The defense got some really key stops. They gave up a couple long touchdowns. That's going to happen, but they got key stops when they needed to. That big play, Jalen Carter's out there with an injured shoulder, gets pressure, Jahad Campbell picks off a pass. I mean, those are the plays that win you football games, and what you do in the first half does matter. They build up a lead, and they had to rely on that, which isn't ideal, but ultimately they get the win.
Right, and that was the biggest difference in this game. We talked about the tale of two halves last game. Well, it was flipped this game. You get that comfortable lead. You look like the aggressors that we talked about all this week on offense. Then all of a sudden, it really stuttered in the second half. But the Bucs really went into halftime, and you could tell there was a game plan to slow down this Eagles offense, which worked in the second half.
Yeah, it really worked. The offense was awful in the second half. I mean, anemic offense, barely got anything going. A bunch of 3-and-outs. The one touchdown they got was on a short field, gifted to them by the defense. So they have to figure that out. You can't have another half of football like this. If you're playing a team and you don't have a big lead in the first half, you probably lose that game. But you go back to the drawing board, you figure it out, because you're right. In the first half, we saw some innovative offensive ideas, especially variations off the tush push, stuff that we really want to see going forward from this offense, from Kevin Patullo. A lot to build on.
Yes, it was definitely a tale of two halves. And once again, in this game, we'll let you know how it goes in there, guys.
Ashlyn, Dave, thanks so much. We'll check back with you. They'll be in the locker room as well for all the interviews. Here's the deal. Last year, it seemed to me to be a little bit different. They came out of the bye. They looked a little lackluster against Cleveland. Everyone crushed them. Then they went on that win streak, and it ended up okay, obviously, as we enjoyed a parade. There will be different issues this team needs to contend with every week that are going to be different the week before. Our friend Vaughn Hebron, who used to play for this team, got 2 rings with the Broncos, said each game is a season. They won this season. They did okay. And they're 4-0 overall on the season. But it seems to me to be a different team than last year, where if they don't solve this, they're going to have a problem. I think it's each week presents different issues to contend with.
And I get it, though. But we have to understand, like the 2 big plays, Makuba and, Jahad Campbell. Both guys made mistakes, and they're going to learn from that. Makuba, he's supposed to be the deepest man. He's supposed to stop it. And then you got, Campbell, let a running back get, behind him, and he goes and scores for a score. Those are 2 rookies that made mistakes, and they ended up being touchdowns that hurt us. Our likelihood of them doing that, throughout the season, there might be a little chance of that. But these guys are learning. They got a great defensive coordinator, so they'll get better as time goes on. But I mean, here you go, Jahad Campbell with the interception. They're going to learn. They're going to get better as the season goes, and I think we'll get better also.
I think we're all looking for who is this team.
Yeah.
Who they are. And we talked about it in the past 3 shows that we've done. You got to let 4 games play out, a quarter of the season play out to figure out who we are.
Right.
And quite honestly, I'm not sure who we are right now after 4 games. We've looked like a Super Bowl champion more than we have looked like a team that, is not a Super Bowl champion. So I see a lot of good things. I think the future's bright. You look at the next 2 games coming up, maybe we correct things, but we're winning. We're finding a way to win the football game. That's why you play the game, to win the game, and we are doing that. But I think it also showed we have some areas, if we want to repeat as world champions, we got to correct.
I mean, to be 4-0 and not have played a complete game, that's really difficult to do. I mean, they haven't put it all together for 60 minutes, and they're sitting here 4-0. 20-21 in their last 20-1 in their last 21 games.
I got the numbers since
they've had 2 10-game winning streaks in Eagles history, both with Nick Sirianni as their coach in the last 12 months.
Toyota electrifying moment. And this is since the last Eagles-Buccaneers game in Week 4 of last season. They have a 20-1 record, including the playoffs. They're 18-0 in games started and finished by Jalen Hurts. Hurts has 46 total touchdowns to just 5 total turnovers. They have outscored opponents by 248 points. That is insane.
That's electrifying.
And what's more, other than the offensive line because of personnel issues, I'm not sensing a theme. Are you?
Well,
is there a theme like they don't get this fixed? This thing's going to turn around.
What we're seeing right now is championship pedigree. What we're seeing is a team that's used to winning. We're seeing a team that has so much pride that they refuse to lose. And that's a good thing. And you're going to need that down the stretch. We're talking about the things that will carry you over into winning consistently and that could possibly be a problem for you in the future. And that's offensive line and defensive line play. We still don't get much pressure. We end up with 2 sacks today, I believe.
2 sacks.
We end up with 2 sacks today.
One when they need it, one big time.
Yeah, one we need them. We normally don't get pressure, and teams are running the ball on us. And then we're not getting the same push. If Saquon is not the feature back and the guy that took us to the Super Bowl, that's a little bit below the standard, especially with the offensive line that we think are full of Hall of Famers. And right now, it isn't that way.
Yeah. All right, let's take a quick timeout because guess what? The locker room just opened. Can Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, Zach Bond and company, Nick Sirianni be far behind? I don't think so. You're watching Eagles Postgame Live. Big winners today because any win's a big win down in Tampa Bay. And we're presented by Cure Auto Insurance.